Morning, everyone. My question for you today is, are you having trouble sleeping? Our verses are Psalm 127, 1 and 2. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stay awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Have you ever thought of sleep as a gift from God? I know I got a real appreciation for it when all of a sudden I couldn't sleep through the night, and it went on for at least 6 months. Eventually, I discovered I was having too much caffeine in the form of dark chocolate that was, contributing to the problem. I thought, hey, if I'm able to go to sleep, caffeine isn't the problem. No, staying asleep can also be affected by the caffeine. But let's go back to our passage for today. There's a lot in these verses. To start with, what we are doing needs to be God's will. Otherwise, the project will not bear fruit. And when we are in his will, we can rest in him and let him create the fruit through us. It's not that you don't work. You do. But you don't kill yourself doing it by burning the candle at both ends. If you do that, you will get burned out, literally. Do what needs to be done and leave the rest in God's hands while you get a good night's sleep. Our recipe for today is a salmon and egg salad. And this recipe makes about 3 servings of it. And we're going to start out by making the dressing, which I've already got a tablespoon approximately of coconut milk and a couple tablespoons of a coconut cream cheese in here. Now, how you make, I have a video on this, posted, but how you make coconut cream cheese is basically using coconut cream that you've separated, off the top. Let it set up as much as possible so that you're getting the solids, not a bunch of the liquid. And you put it in a bowl, mix it with like a tablespoon of lemon juice. You can even add some, kefir water, but you don't have to. And then you put it into a non-bleached coffee filter and in a strainer, and put it over like a bowl like this, and just let the liquid, drain out through the bottom. Put a piece of paper towel over the top to keep any bugs or anything from flying in, and basically let that set for 36 hours, or to your preferred, temp taste, to get it a little, tart tasting, but not just lemon tasting. I usually find 36 hours to work well with. Anyway, that's as a side. So we got 2 of our ingredients in here, and I also want to add some lemon juice. Additionally, right now we're making the dressing, so put a tablespoon of lemon in there. Get my lid back on, which it doesn't want to cook. Okay, and then I also want to add to this mixture some parsley. So I am going to cut up some parsley. Let me bring this down a little bit so that you can sort of see what I'm doing. But still going to be a little off camera here. Anyway, I am cutting up some fresh parsley. And doesn't have to be super small or anything. Just cut it up here. Adding that into and I'm actually going to use a fork here because I need to break up the coconut cream. As it sets up, it gets harder, both because of being in the refrigerator, which will also make it turn into a big chunk, but also because you've drained off most of the liquid, that also causes it to be. So think kind of blue cheese. You know, you're not trying for getting all of it, and it's not going to, because unless you warm it up, it's not going to get completely liquidy. It'll still be chunky. But that's why I'm using the fork, because I'm using it to kind of break up some of the chunks a bit. If you wanted it a little smoother, you could try blending it, but you would need to still kind of, if you wanted it that smooth, you would also probably need some heat. You need to leave it out longer and let it warm up in order to actually get to where the consistency would readily blend smooth. But if you're going for more of a blue cheese type thing, you're going to have chunks. Okay, so that's basically our dressing that we'll put over the top. And we're actually going to use some organic arugula as our base in here. And a cup and a half. Thick enough to make a nest, but you don't want to necessarily have cups and cups of this, because this does have a bite to it. It's going to have a distinctive flavor. And we're going to, I'm doing this based on doing a single serving. So let's see a little bit better what I'm doing here. And so since basically we have 3 servings, the recipe calls for 3 eggs. But since I'm just making up 1 serving of this right now, all I need to do is cut up 1 egg. So it's 1 organic free-range egg, hard-boiled. Did several of those last night. So that's obviously something you prepare in advance. And there are multiple ways of cutting up an egg, obviously. I'm dicing this one up pretty much. And I've also got an egg slicer. that gives me a couple of different options, because it will also cut it from the top down in spears. Egg whites are a lot easier to cut than the egg yolk. Okay, almost there. Then we're going to add some salmon, which obviously you could use salmon that you had leftovers of that you cooked. If you're really venturesome, you've gone fishing in Alaska. Obviously, I do recommend wild caught. Let's get a little bit of egg off my hands here. Okay, I'm using a can wild caught Alaskan, no salt added. Because not only they use the wrong kind of salt usually in these things, you've got purified salt that doesn't have any additional minerals, so your body doesn't handle it as well. But my body also does not do well on large amounts of sodium, so I will put this into another container for part of this. Okay, so then we just need part of this out of here. Breaking it up. All right, and then we top this off with liver dressing. Okay, and not necessarily a huge salad, but it's very dense and high in protein. So there's our salmon and hard-boiled egg salad. And you can serve that with also some cucumber spears along the side, which I will probably do, but you don't need to watch me peel cucumber. So I will be back next week, same time, with another recipe. Actually, we'll be making a pesto next week in preparation for using that in some things. But a pesto that isn't necessarily just sweet basil. I find a solid, only sweet basil pesto tends to be a little strong for me, and I actually will use some of this arugula that I have left over to make that pesto next week. So I will see you then. Have a great day.